Welcome back to On the Art Trail. I'm Joanne Pollock, and I'm here today with Murray Gamble in his home. And thank you so much, Murray, for agreeing to do this interview with me today.
You're welcome.
It is a sheer delight to be in a home which abounds with art at every turn. And you are an amazing collector with a very discerning eye, I must say.
I like to think of myself as an accumulator, not a collector. Collectors usually are more methodical than I am. I tend to see something and just buy it, Joanne.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. No matter what you call yourself, you are certainly a guy that's addicted to art.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that for sure.
And I love that. Before we went on camera, Murray, you sort of walked me around your collection in your home, and I can't begin to describe your collection in any way, shape, or form. Can you?
Eclectic, probably is the best way to describe it. There's a number of different themes to it, I would say, but there's no one dominant type of art that I collect or particular artist. It's been sort of a long, I guess, 38-year journey, and basically I collect with my eyes and my heart, and not so much with my head or my ears. So if I see it and it speaks to me, I'll buy it.
Well, being a long-time collector, and 38 years is quite a long time to collect art. You probably have had a passion about the arts for a very long time. And so in high school, you probably were the guy that was doodling in class.
Yeah, I mean, I even as a young child, I loved to draw, although I never really was gifted with any particular talent. So I'm by no means an artist. I just have a tremendous respect for those who do have the gift of creativity and can create wonderful art. I think my love sort of got started in high school. I had a wonderful art teacher by the name of Brian Dalton, and he really opened my eyes to art. I grew up in small town southwestern Ontario, which is not really a hub of
Right.
arts, as you know. So you didn't get a lot of exposure to arts or the creative sector, but through a couple of years of art class with Mr. Dalton, it really sort of piqued an interest. So you always hear those stories of how teachers can change your life for the rest of your days, and he certainly did. And my only regret is I haven't seen him since high school to tell him how much he affected.
Oh.
Yeah. So someday I hope to run into him and let him know. Who knows? Maybe he'll see this program. That'd
Oh
be
my
great.
gosh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So your very first painting that you collected, what was it?
And I still have it, by the way. It wasn't a landmark piece by any stretch of the imagination, but when I was in university, I took engineering at Waterloo, and I was on a work term in Ottawa, and that also kind of helped to create an interest in art, because I would visit the National Gallery and different galleries in Ottawa, and certainly learned a lot there. But they always had, on Saturdays, they had various artists from the community that would come down to the Byward Market, and there's kind of the main market building there, and they would display their art, and I saw a piece I really liked. It was a little watercolor of a winter scene in a stream and that sort of thing, and it was the princely sum of $85, which was a lot of money in those days, because
Yeah.
as a third-year engineering student, you equated that to about 5 cases of beer. So that was a big investment at the time. It was very, very, you had to think long and hard about that, about what you were giving up. But I really liked it, and as I say, it wasn't a fantastic piece, but it just, it struck me as, again, in my heart, and I liked it a lot. It reminded me of some of the areas in southwestern Ontario where I grew up, out in the forests and those areas, and so I purchased it, and After that, I guess there was no turning back.
No turning back.
Yeah, that's right.
You always remember your first piece, I think.
That's right. Yeah, I think most collectors do actually, and interestingly enough, I think most collectors, and again, I don't consider myself in the leagues of the great collectors in Canada or anywhere, but it's interesting. Even the great ones that have the resources to amass phenomenal collections, they still remember the first piece of art they ever bought.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like your first piece, your latest purchase is your most favorite purchase until the next one comes along.
Yeah, I guess that's somewhat true. Although I can honestly say that every piece that I've ever collected, like it's still, I still have an affinity for it. I still have a connection to it, and I actually think you asked me a while back before we started the cameras about what's my favorite piece, and I gave you the response of that's like asking, which of your children is the favorite. They're all very special.
And they're all unique.
They're all unique, and for me, a lot of the times, it's the connection with the artist. It's the person behind the work, and that's what's so important. It's not about amassing art for the sake of amassing art and that sort of thing. It's about the creativity, the process. I mean, artists pour their heart and soul
They do.
into their work, and unfortunately, we don't appreciate them enough as much as we should. We really need to do more to support artists. They're doing phenomenal work. It's important work, and most people's work is not going to live beyond how long they live.
True.
So what I do, I'm in the engineering business. There won't be many things that will be left after I'm gone. But art carries on. Art is a multi-generational sort of thing, and gets passed down over generations. So it's really important work. And it makes us feel good, and that's a great thing. We really should embrace our art sector more, I think.
Well, I think the art appreciation is somewhat of a dying art, in the sense that many younger people don't necessarily appreciate art in the same way. If you came from a family that collected art, I think there is that love and appreciation that does get passed down
Sure.
to family members.
Yeah.
That's not to say that young people don't love art. There are many young people that do, but I think it's a learned appreciation. Put it that way.
I agree, and there's a great tradition in Europe, obviously, of that of generations passing art down over the years. One of the things in Canada, we're a very young country, and our we don't have much of an established art history.
Right.
Basically, most Canadian art has been done within the last 100 years, and there would be only a handful of artists from Canada that would be recognized internationally. So we're really a young nation in terms of our art output, and that. I think, quite frankly, an undervalued nation, and one that's going to do great things in the future, or be recognized very well in the future, already doing great things. But yeah, it takes time for that to build up, that appreciation, and for that to get handed down over the years. And I'm not sure that all of our digital media is helping with that appreciation as well. The digital format is so fleeting, right? It's sort of a 2 or 3 second image, and then you move on to the next one and that sort of thing. So I don't know if that's helping us with our appreciation for the arts.
We're going to take a short break, Murray.
Great.
And we're going to come back in a few moments, and we're going to get into your head a little bit about your philosophy.
Okay.
So we're back with Murray Gamble, and we're here to talk about his very beautiful and extensive art collection. And I know, Murray, one of the things that is important to you personally is that art is accessible.
Absolutely.
And so um, you don't have to have a lot of money to be able to build up a lovely
N-
art collection.
No, no, absolutely not. I've never been a person of great means. So, yeah, I've collected pieces that I could afford. Fortunately, some of the ones that I bought early in life are probably worth considerably more now.
Sure.
But no, I've never had the resources to be able to just go out and purchase important works of art. Um, but I think it's one of the things that unfortunately people tend to have that perception that this is collecting art
Rich
is
man's
yeah,
game.
it's a rich man's game. Um, I think frankly the some maybe some of the people in the art world, some of the galleries and dealers sort of don't help that as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So it can going into an art gallery can be an intimidating thing
Absolutely.
for someone who hasn't done it
Mm-hmm.
before.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, I used to be very intimidated when I go into a gallery. Um, there's still lots of days that I go into a gallery, and if I'm not dressed well, if I have my Saturday blue jeans on and haven't shaved, they'll chase me out almost, and until I start talking to them, and they realize, okay, I've been around a little bit around the art world. So um, it's so important because all of us, if we're going to embrace the arts, we need an on ramp, what I call an on ramp, and so um, for a lot of people, let's take avant-garde contemporary art. A lot of people aren't going to embrace that right away. They're not going to. It's not going to be a natural thing. Some of it is not, a pretty picture sort of thing. It takes a while to understand it. It takes time to dialogue with the artists and really understand what they're trying to convey. So it's like learning a language. You're not going to know the entire language the first day that you start.
That's right.
You're going to pick up a few words here and there, and if somebody treats you well and says, "Hey, good for you," you did a good job of that sentence, and encourages you, you'll come back and you'll want to learn more and more and more.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really what all of us need to do that are involved in the arts is encourage those people that may not have a lot of exposure to it, a lot of deep understanding, but recognize um, that's not a limitation on them. It's just they need to learn more and everybody. The other thing I'll say is everyone has their own tastes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As I said to you before, there's no wrong answers in art.
Mm-hmm.
People think there are, and I think people are intimidated, and they don't know whether to say they like something or don't like something. If you like something, that's great. Embrace it, buy it if it's within your budget. You'll love it. And I think one mistake that maybe I've seen people make is they will go to, for lack of a better term, the decorator store and buy a print of something, basically a photocopy of something, and hang it on the wall when for the same price they could go to a local practicing
show.
fine
Sure.
art show and pick up a beautiful original work, dialogue with the artist, learn about the artist, learn about the creative process, and have something that, quite frankly, they'll treasure the rest of their life.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you the question, and you did mention it a little while ago about how important it is to build a relationship with an artist so that
Sure.
you can understand where they're coming from,
Yes.
and I think that is a really integral part of buying art is that you get to know who the artist is.
Yeah, I agree completely, and you're really only getting half the story if you're just looking at a piece and don't really understand who the creator is and what inspires them, what motivates them, and what message they're trying to convey, and what's important to them. And so our art is about relationships.
It is.
It's very much so. So I think that is another aspect that people sometimes underestimate.
And I also want to pick up on another aspect which we have touched on, and that is how do you develop confidence in purchasing a piece of art. I mean, art collection is a journey, and the longer you do
Hmm.
it, the more educated and knowledgeable you become. But you have to begin to have a bit of a discerning eye. Otherwise, you're going to be buying everything in sight.
Sure.
So, how do you develop that sense of confidence?
Um, I, I don't know if I'd ever say you have total confidence. I don't think I even have confidence in everything I buy, to be honest with you. But what I will say, and most people who collect, uh, buy things you like. Don't don't buy something. There's an old adage that you should buy art with your eyes and your heart, not your ears. Don't buy something because somebody tells you it's important or somebody tells you you should buy this or you should buy that. That's not to say that you shouldn't learn. It's like anything else. The more that you go to art shows, that you go to galleries, we have some great local galleries, um, and the more that you go and the more that you experience art and you engage in those institutions that display art, as I say, go to the local art fairs, that sort of thing, you will start to recognize certain things, certain styles, certain types of work that you like and that you gravitate to, and that you feel good about. Um, that's the right art for you. And by the way, that might be the right art for you at that time, and
Right.
that might change over the
It
years, right?
may.
I've certainly evolved over the years in my taste,
Hmm.
but that's not to say that what you buy, early in your collecting is wrong. It's just a moment in time, and then oftentimes it helps kind of reflect on who you are and what your journey's been as well.
Absolutely.
It's very much a part of you, right? So um, I, I I don't think you have to develop great confidence. I think what you should feel, though, is you shouldn't feel intimidated.
Mm.
You may not have confidence, but don't ever let anyone intimidate you in the art world, because it's a very personal thing, and I don't believe anybody can tell you, that you're wrong if you like something. I really don't believe that's the case. There's certainly artwork that's better and more recognized and that sort of thing than others. But that will come with time, and if you grow to like it, great. If you don't, and it's not your taste, you don't have to like it to respect it. There's a lot of artists that I really respect their work. I wouldn't personally collect them. It's just not my taste. But it doesn't mean they're not doing important work and really good work.
Have you spotted some rising stars that have gone on to become more than rising stars?
Um, I'm probably not that savvy to be able to really pick them out. I mean, like as I said, I've purchased the odd, been fortunate enough to purchase the odd work that later gained in value, but that's not what I actively do, and quite frankly, uh, that's a game of trying to predict the future, and it's really tough. So there's a few very knowledgeable curators in the art world that just have a wonderful sense of being able to pick emerging artists. Actually, I'm on the board at Kitchener Modular Art Gallery, and boy, they do a great job of finding those early to mid career artists that are really strong, doing strong work, and you know they're usually right, and they're
That's
usually,
good.
yeah, they're usually going to do they're usually going to go on to even greater things. Interestingly enough, most people will know Ed Pertinsky, the famous Canadian photographer. K-Weg gave Ed his first show. Most people don't know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Where do you buy your art, Murray? So you probably have various. I mean, I'm sure you have your tried and true dealers that you deal with, but are you out and about?
I am, yeah, I buy all over the place. And again, I don't have a massive collection, but I will buy from galleries, well known dealers in some of the larger cities in Canada. We've got some good local galleries and had some great ones over the years that sell some very good work. I go to estate auctions from time to time. If you see some art there, online has become a much bigger part of my buying patterns. Art fairs, pretty much you name it. Antique dealers, anywhere that there's a chance there's going to be a decent piece of art,
You'll be
I'll
there.
go there and flip over the rocks and try to find it, kind of thing. So I'm terrible that way. So I'm a scrounger, I guess you'd say.
We're going to take another short break, and we'll be back in a moment.
Great.
I'm back with Murray Gamble, and we're talking about his incredible art collection, which is extensive and most interesting. And Murray, I want to touch for one brief second on an area of interest for you personally, and that is that you have collected Zimbabwean art. It's the Shona.
That's correct. Shona sculpture.
Shona
Yep.
sculpture,
Yeah.
which abounds in your home. And perhaps you can share just a quick story about purchasing your first piece.
Sure. And it's a sort of random collision that got me into Shona sculpture from Zimbabwe. Friends of ours, their daughter was doing development work in Zimbabwe years back during the AIDS crisis, helping with that, doing wonderful work there. And our friends went over to visit their daughter, and the gentleman's a very avid photographer and was taking pictures of everything in Zimbabwe. And when he was showing us the photos, we kept seeing these sculptures in the background, and I said, "What are those?" And so then I learned the story of Shona sculpture from Zimbabwe. Really world-class, wonderful sculpture done by the Shona, literally the Shona tribe in Zimbabwe. And I just said, geez, I really need to get one of these pieces. This is just such great work. I've never seen anything like it. And so we arranged to buy a piece over there. And for those that don't know about Zimbabwe, it's had a lot of troubles over the years. And it's not the kind of thing that it's easy to, get shipping done, that sort of thing. I had one person tell me it would be easier to get it from Mars than from Zimbabwe, that sort of thing. So I had purchased this big stone sculpture, and it took me 9 months to get it landed in Canada. Many different people. I had to ask for favors and find people that would ship it from one town to another, and finally got it on the last flight out of Zimbabwe that British Airways flew out. And then, of course, got it over here. I had no paperwork, and Canada Customs sort of lost it on me and basically said, "What are you doing? You can't just ship big stone things in rough wooden crates with no paperwork." And after apologizing profusely, they allowed me to get the sculpture and bring it home, and that was the first piece. And I found easier ways since then. There's actually a wonderful gallery owner in near Peterborough, Rice Lake, that brings Zimbabwe sculpture over and does wonderful work, development work in Zimbabwe, builds orphanages and things like that. Fran Fernley is her name, and she just does wonderful work. Zim Art is the name of the gallery, and so I found that's much easier to let Fran, the professional, bring it to Canada, and then I could get it from Peterborough to here.
We cannot leave this interview, Murray, without acknowledging your incredible support in the art and culture sector in Kitchener-Waterloo and elsewhere, I would imagine. I know you're on several boards, and I know that you have sponsored many cultural events in the community. And even though you really didn't want me to mention this, you were the 2017 recipient of the Michael Follett Community Leader of the Year Award through the Chamber of Commerce. Correct?
Yes, I guess that's correct. I'm put it this way. I think you're giving me too much credit. There's a lot of people in the community do a lot of great work. I just like to be part of that group that tries to further the community. Certainly, arts is a passion, so where I can help out on boards or in a modest way with resources, I'm happy to do so. I think the arts sector, unfortunately, tends to be under-resourced and I think underappreciated. And I think all that any of us can do to help, even in a small way, it's really important. And I would encourage everyone out there to really think about how important the arts sector is to a vital community, and do anything they can to support artists and the great local organizations that are in this community.
So on behalf of On the Art Trail with Joanne Murray, I greatly thank you for your time this evening in sharing what I know is a deep passion for you. And to Mr. Dalton, if he's watching, I'm
Yeah.
sure he would be pretty proud of how you are contributing and how you have contributed to the arts community.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun talking about it, and as you've discovered, I could talk for a long time about art.
Art collectors do tend to do that, Murray.
Yeah, they do. They do. Thank you very much.
Thank
Joanne.
you very much.